Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about dimensions. So to bring up the dimension style dialog box, enter D for dimension style. Okay, these are the basic dimension styles that occur in AutoCAD. What I want you to do is create a new one. It'll be based on whatever was the current dimension style selected at the time, which in this case is ISO 25, but I'm going to call it BP 100. Continue. Now you have a lot of different options across the top here. We'll start with the first tab, lines. And the two key things to know about a dimension is this line here is the dimension line that the actual number sits above or below. And this line here is the extension line. Once you understand that, everything else in the dialog box makes a lot more sense. For example, this extend beyond dimension line of 1.25 is this part of the extension line that extends beyond the dimension line. So under this extension line dialog box, you can also set how far offset from origin, how far you want it to be away from what you are dimensioning, and you do want to have that probably at least 5 mil away. So if I click anywhere else, you'll notice here in the preview it changes. So the dimension will be never be closer than 5 millimeters to the actual object. It can be set further away, but it will always be at least 5 mil. We can fix the length of that extension line, which I recommend because it makes life a lot neater. So if you click on that, you can fix that length. I might fix that to about probably 5 to 10 mil as well. It's good. Okay. The symbols and arrows, closed field is good in some instances, but when you've got very small dimensions like dimensioning a wall that's only 100 wide, it's best to use architectural tick. When I choose the first one, the second one changes automatically. The leader is what we use for notes, and we will keep that as closed field. Okay. The size of the arrow is 2.5, probably not less than 2 is recommended. For the text, again, the text type, really not more than 2.5. If you want to use it, make it a bit smaller, you can make it 2, but probably not much less than 1.8 high. We're going to keep it as a standard text, but if you wanted to change that text style, you can change it here. You'll notice it's Arial, and notice that the height is set 0 here because it's actually set here. Okay. In terms of the text placement, you can play around with these different settings if you want. It's more that the offset from the dimension line is what's useful. So again, this is the dimension line, that space between. You want to have it probably at least 1 mil so that it will be a little bit more legible. It should never be 0. It's not a line to write on. It's more kind of telling you what that dimension is. We prefer to have the dimension aligned with the actual dimension line. You can see if it's horizontal, the difference that it makes. So we'll just keep that default aligned. Okay, coming to the fit. It's best when you've again got really small dimensions to have the dimension over the dimension line. You can have it with a leader or without. Again, you can try a few different, try and see what they look like and see what you like. But it's really the scale for the dimension features that I want you to set, where we can set this to 100. So this is for the floor plan and elevations, the dimension style. All of the scale features we've just talked about will be scaled to 100 so that when I put them in model space, they're going to look correct. If you're going to do it according to the procedure document, which asks for annotative, you click on annotative, you notice this grays out. So when you use annotative, you have to do it through an expanded viewport, which I'll show you later, and you place it and it'll scale according to the scale of that viewport. But for now, I might just show you kind of a standard use of a dimension style. So the primary units, probably the last thing we really need to change, because the precision, you don't want to have any decimal points. It's going to be to the millimetre, 0.1 of a millimetre. And if you were going to have them, you would have it with a period, full stop, rather than a comma. And that's okay for now. So I can, because I've just created it, it is my current one. Go okay. So I'll close that. And so now when I use my dimension style, this square is 10 meters by 10 meters. And you see it's 10,000 by 10,000. Okay. If I were to repeat dimension style and perhaps choose the original one, this is, you know, if you do a dimension straight away, you'll see that you can't see the features. The text is there, but it's really, really fun. So we've scaled all of the features up to be, you know, suiting a drawing that will print at 1 to 100. If you want to create, I'll make that current again. So when I create a new one, it will be based on the one that's 1 to 100. I can create a new one. I can call that 200 for when I do the site plan, or I can call it, maybe do it as 10 to create for the details. Continue, and then if this is going to be one for 1 to 10, all I'm going to change is the overall features for to scale up 10. Go okay, and then when I do the details, all of those features will be much smaller. Okay, so the architectural tick, the text height, everything will scale small, and the extension lines and everything. Okay. In terms of using annotative, like I was saying, you would set the annotative one. I'll just leave that with those arrows. I'll create that as the one to choose. You don't change the scale here ever, but in layout, there it is. I'll just change this to 1 to 100. Okay, and the expanded viewport is this button down here, maximize viewport. To minimize the viewport, it's also down there, but you can know you're in a maximize viewport because of this red dashed line. And then when I use the dimension style, okay, all of the features scale up to the size of the viewport. Okay, you can change visibility options down here with the viewports. When I go back to model space, I'll minimize that viewport so it's back into just paper space, and go back now to model space, and it does appear there. If I was to use the annotative dimension while I'm just in model space, it will alert me to the fact that it's an annotative object and I am in 1 to 1. Go okay, and you can see the features are not scaled at all. They're not scaled up to 1 to 100. When you hover over the dimension and you see that 3-pointed symbol, that lets you know you're an annotated dimension. You can see that this one is not. Okay. If I didn't want to see them, I could turn them off with these icons at the bottom here. Okay. So that's your basics on dimensioning. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I'll go through the dimensioning for the site plan when we talk about the site plan. Thank you.